UFC 302, Makhachev, Poirier. We're here to break down all the fights. Jim and Andy coming at you, and we both definitely 100% do not have staph infections. I can promise you that. So here's another night with staph infections. Oh my God, give me a break. So I didn't know we had so many doctors on social media, Jim. That can
lots
tell
of it this
that
week.
can tell from a little itty bitty photo of a thumbnail and a photo shoot. Like, oh, staph infection. He's sick. It's like, I kind of think they're on top of this. Anyway, so let's get into it here, Jim. Bettable card. I think this is a little bit the potential for a little bit more high volume on this one. And this is kind of one of those cases where, well, let me ask you this. Was this good or bad that we had a bunch of time to look at this card, like from betting perspective? Because a lot of lines have moved a lot, but we've also had a lot of time to research fighters. So is the break good that we had a bunch of time, we had a little break, we can reset? Or is this bad that this is paralysis by analysis, that we just have too much time to look at the card?
It could go both ways. Personally, I took the first 4 days of last week off. I didn't look at a thing. I put, I think, one bet in about midweek. And then from there, I just kind of did my research and walked away. And sometimes we all get in trouble with too much information. TMI. You can't watch every breakdown video and every single thing and then come to a conclusion because you can hear different sides. So I've stuck to my guns on my picks over the 2 weeks. I haven't done a flip-flop. There's one fight that I regret not betting on. So we'll get to that one.
All right.
But I think it's good. I think if you try to do too much with your extra time allotted, again, happy balance in life. Go outside, play with the kids, take the wife out. You don't have to look at fights for 2 weeks.
Well, let's get into some of these fights. Andre Lima, Mitch, Raposo. I continue to just be baffled by these contender series guys that just like. So Andre Lima, we know the story. He got bit by another contender series guy. Everyone makes him out to be this like great guy, and it's like, well, somebody bit him. Like that doesn't mean he's an awesome fighter or anything. I didn't even think he looked that good in that fight.
No.
And now he comes in, he misses weight. So here we go again with these contender series guys that I just do not trust. He's going up against Mitch Raposo. Speaking of guys I don't trust, Mitch Raposo is another one. I mean, we saw him on The Ultimate Fighter. Didn't go well for him. We saw him on Contender Series. Didn't go well for him. To me, this comes down to, I think Mitch Raposo is going to have a little bit more power. I think Lima is going to be the faster guy. In the end, it would ever be so slightly lean to Lima until I saw him miss weight by a lot. And now I think it's Mitch Raposo just because I see so many red flags on this Andre Lima. You got the Contender Series theory. You got him being anointed. We're going to talk about another guy that's being anointed on this card way too fast. And then you come in and miss weight. I'm like, okay, why am I supposed to trust this guy? I don't trust Mitch Raposo, and I'm certainly not betting this fight. There's no way my hard-earned money is going anywhere near this one. But if I have to pick one, it's Mitch Raposo. I kind of like his power. Nice KO in round 4, Cage Titans. I mean, these aren't great guys that he's been knocking out, but he did knock these guys out. I watched him. He's flat-footed. He's not going to be moving around a whole lot. I think he can catch Lima, maybe soften him up a little bit. So I just don't. I'm completely out on Lima. So for me, the pick is Raposo, but it's certainly not confident. What's your take on this fight?
If you're going to bet it, you got to bet Raposo. With all the red flags in this fight, why would you not take plus 225? You're going to lay 278? No way. No way. Yeah. You better have something in your back pocket on Lima if you're laying 278. Like we said, it's been 2 weeks. These lines are whacked. They're steep. And there's no point in having to have a bet on something if you don't feel strongly about it. And I'm not going to give you a pick if I don't feel strongly about it. Fair enough. Just forget this fight, guys. Okay. See what happens to start. You know what? This fight, if it goes the distance, is going to give us a good idea on the judges. We're in New Jersey. Okay? If things feel like they're going to be sketchy from the beginning of the night, tread carefully the rest of the fight. I think it's a good feeling out process for us.
I like it. Joselyne Edwards and Ailin Perez, I'll let you go first on this one. What do you think about this one?
I love that everybody loves Perez. I love it. It's like nobody ever watched an Ailin Perez fight. and they want to just throw money at her and throw money at her. You want to talk other things. We got an OnlyFans theory. We got a no cardio past 2.5 of the second round theory. We got a limited skill set theory. like there's red flags to me up, down, left, and right with Ailin Perez. And I'm not that Joselyne Edwards is the best, but Joselyne is tough. She will fight through it. You mentioned something earlier. She's big. You don't realize how big Joselyne's is until she gets in there. And everyone's talking about the thickness of Ailin Perez. I think after they rehydrate, when we have weigh-ins in a little bit, I think you're going to see a little bit of size for Edwards. So I think she can stuff these takedowns come round 2. She'll probably get taken down in round 1, but I love Edwards to put it on her in round 3. If Perez can't get the takedown, Edwards is going to be all over her in round 3. So sneaking suspicion, not betting it. But kind of that same Angela Hill situation where Edwards isn't much of a finisher, but are we going to get Perez giving her the finish in round 2 or round 3? I'd like to see those lines. I'm a little interested in what those lines are come fight time. We'll see how they look at face-offs, but I like Edwards in this pick.
She's got really thick, strong legs, which is going to help defend the takedowns of Perez. And Perez, listen, she's going to have to work real hard to get those takedowns. We saw Edwards wrestle with Cornell last fight. Edwards, obviously her big problem is just not a lot of volume, not a lot of aggression, I guess, like doesn't do a ton of damage. But you mentioned all the theories. I don't think we've ever had my opponent's coach almost choked me unconscious theory. Bad blood between these two. If ever there was a fight that we get nasty, mean, like throw to do some real legit damage from Joselyne Edwards, it's got to be this one. That was a big fight in the back, and Joselyne or Ailin Perez's coach, who's a dude, by the way, put Joselyne Edwards into a choke. How did he survive that? How I don't understand how he got away.
Not even a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, how did he get that one out? I like Edwards. We've talked about this. Edwards plus 3.5 is fantastic. I bet this myself. I can't put it up on Wager Talk because, I can't put it up on Wager Talk as an official play because not a lot of books have this. But if you have a book that gives out like the lines that the actual kind of point spread, this is number 1 on my list. I think she's a shoo-in to win round 3. I've seen Perez. I watched Perez be dead against Pudilova in round 3 last one. So even if she wins the first 2 rounds, I don't think she's gonna roll over Joselyne Edwards. I think Joselyne Edwards is a live dog. Honestly, I like Edwards as a dog in this one. If Perez doesn't get the takedown, she's gonna be a world of hurt because staying on the feet, it's Edwards all day. So this will be. Don't miss this one. If you missed the first fight, this is going to be a fun fight. There's going to be some really bad trash talking. I think. And if
just
Perez wins,
another point before we move on this one too. We have to think about with women's MMA, and we just saw this on Andy's call on Vanessa Demopoulos. Now Vanessa was wobbled in every round, but why did she win the rounds? Because Ducote was bleeding and showing the damage. Joselyne Edwards does not show damage. She very rarely gets cut. She gets beat up. We just saw Perez with her eye.
Big shiner.
If she gets another shiner like that, they're going to give the round to Edwards the way they score. And with women's MMA going forward, I'm going to suggest that everybody start looking at this a little bit more. This was something I wanted to bring up. When it comes to women's MMA, your margins are this big to wins and losses of rounds. So if you see a bloody nose in a round, you can guarantee the other fighter's winning. If you're bleeding, you're losing that round in women's MMA. So that's another reason I love Edwards.
It's true. Yeah. So I think Edwards is a call. I parlayed Edwards with a golfer, Tommy Fleetwood, to make the cut. So I got that first leg in. But I'd look at that as a nice little parlay piece there. Mm-hmm. Mickey Gall and Bassil Hafez. I truly did not know Mickey Gall was still in UFC. I thought he was just kind of done. We hadn't seen him in forever. So I also didn't realize how many fights Mickey Gall had been in. I could not believe this when I went back. And I was like, how many has he been in? Like 4 or 5? And it's like, no, he's been in a ton. It's just against these really bad fighters, the CM Punk was a joke. That was just one of the most ridiculous UFC fights ever. So has this big layoff and he's fighting Bassil Hafez. Hafez is the huge favorite, and I don't know if I'm willing to throw Bassil Hafez into my parlays. I know he looked good and against Jack Maddalena, but Jim, how many times have we seen these debutantes look great in their first fight and then all of a sudden they look terrible? That being said, Hafez is definitely going to be the stronger guy. He's going to be the better wrestler. Mickey Gall has no striking that should scare anybody. So I think what happens is Hafez tries to get him on the ground, and I pray if I'm betting Hafez that he can hang on to that cardio, man. Just hang on to that cardio, bro. Don't get tired. Got to avoid kind of maybe the Mickey Gall snatching up a submission. So my worries if I'm betting on Hafez are A, is cardio, and B, Gall kind of snatching up some weird submission kind of out of nowhere. I think it's Hafez, but the line has moved so much. I find no value in this one. Hafez is the pick. If you haven't bet him now, you're not getting any value on it. So I would leave him out of parlays. Thoughts on Mickey Gall and Bassil Hafez?
I was talking to Andy earlier in the week, and Mickey Gall was the first eye opener for me about not picking sides and picking totals. And I kind of clued in something with Mickey Gall. Most of the time, his fights are ending.
Yeah, except Alex Morano, who will get
shockingly, right? Now, there's some losses in there, okay? But I think that's the only way I'm playing this. I'm playing this fight not to go the distance. Either Bassil Hafez is not who we think he is, or Mickey Gall is the same guy who we think he is that doesn't have cardio for round 3. His win condition is going to be flash submission, and I think that's gone after round 1, to be honest with you. I don't see him locking something up against Hafez. I think Hafez's cardio is going to outlast Mickey Gall's, and I could see him getting a late second round, possibly a round 3 finish. We had big layoff for Mickey Gall, doing a lot of podcasting, a lot of other things outside of the cage. And Bassil Hafez is not. He wants an MMA career. So give me the guy that's more dedicated to the sport, but more importantly, give me the fight doesn't go the distance at minus 165.
Probably the best way to play that one. Phil Rowe and Jake Matthews. I'll let you go first. What do you like, Rowe with Matthews?
2 questions. Jake Matthews a favorite? Yes.
Yeah.
How much money do we put on Phil Rowe plus 3.5? Second question.
This
Jake
is the
Matthews
second.
Is just
this is the second plus 3.5 that I was referring to that I think is probably the best way. Yeah, we can start with Jake Matthews here.
Jake, look, he's just a ball dropper. Like, it just drops the ball. It's what he does. We talked about this with Jamal Emmers when he fought Nate Landwehr, and I loved Landwehr in that because Emmers was going to make a mistake, and sure enough, he did. He made a big mistake. Ran out of that cardio trying to finish Nate. I think this is going to be the same thing with Jake Matthews. I think he thinks he's better than he is. This reach advantage for Rowe is a problem. This clinch work from Rowe is going to be a problem. Jake Matthews, when he gets in a Muay Thai clinch, he just kind of tries to sneak in uppercuts and throws overhands. You don't see him pummel and, correctly try to maneuver those situations and obtain control. And if this gets into a clinch match, it's Phil Rowe all day. I think Rowe's able to get back up. I like Phil here, man. I like Phil. I will very gladly take plus money against Jake Matthews when he's a big favorite. The secret's out about that a little bit this week, which is a little nerve-wracking. But Phil Rowe is dedicated to growing his craft and getting better. He's competing in grappling matches. And look, no shame in losing to Neil Magny.
Split.
Like, look, Neil's
it was a close fight. Boring
fight. Yeah, but, good test. Losing to Craig Jones in grappling, no shame there.
Yeah.
One of the best in the world. Like, Nico Price before he was washed. And don't forget, he was putting it on Nico.
Yeah.
And Nico comes back at the end there. I don't know. I like Phil Rowe. I think there's something there with this guy. And I'm just not a believer in Jake Matthews' improvements. He hasn't shown me anything besides knocking out Philo, which everybody does. After that, it's been the same Jake. So.
Yeah. I do like that Phil Rowe has done what he's supposed to do against the guys before Magny. Knocks out Koski knocks out Witt,
Mm-hmm.
knocks out Nico Price. So, he had a job to do and he did it. If one judge goes the other way, this is a 4-fight win streak for Rowe, and he ain't fighting Jake Matthews. He's
Mm-hmm.
fighting somebody else,
Great point. Great point.
way better than that. The pick is Phil Rowe, but the plus 3.5 is absolutely my favorite pick.
That's in my account.
Yeah, that's one that's absolutely been bet. So Phil Rowe plus 3.5 is the way to go. If you guys could please hit the like button and leave us a comment. I missed you guys in the comments section last week. Not having any videos. Like I say, I never thought I would say that. But no, seriously, but building a really, really good community. We've given out quite a few winners. So if you could do us a favor and just hit the like button while you're watching this and leave us a comment. Tell us who you like. Tell us who your best bets are. Tell us who some of your wins have been. Even if you don't have anything profound to say, just put a smiley face or something in there. Just, put a code word in there, Mississippi. Or, if you can't spell Mississippi,
Cowabunga.
Cowabunga. Yeah, pick something simple like that. So, yeah, just leave us a comment. Don't be a stranger. We love seeing and hearing what you guys are betting on this card. So, appreciate you guys. And let's keep moving on to Grant Dawson and Joe Solecki. And Jim, I will tell you, this was one where before the line really, really started getting out of control, I was looking at it and I was just like, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
How is Joe Solecki going to beat Grant Dawson? Like, I know that Grant Dawson got knocked out by Bobby Green, but before that, Dawson was just on this, insane run. And it was one of those it wasn't a Hail Mary shot. It was just, he wasn't ready for it. Mm-hmm. Dominates Demir Ismagulov, finishes Madsen, Gordon, gets finished against Leonardo Santos. And then I'm looking over at Joe Solecki and I'm going, these guys have similar skill sets. And Dawson is just way better at that skill set. Like, so Joe Solecki beat Carl Deaton. Okay. Alex Da Silva loses to Jared Gordon. He did beat Jim Miller way back when. Not much to take away from the Jakar close. That was a very, very strange loss. Yes. I just look at them and I go, they both want this to go to the ground, and I just don't see a world in which Solecki controls Grant Dawson for any, period of time. I mean, if Dawson doesn't get knocked out by Bobby Green and can get that on the ground, we're having a very, very different discussion about it. The guy's 20-2. I'm not really taking too much away of it. And even if he does have a weak chin, is Joe Solecki the guy to test that out on the feet? I say probably not. The value has just been absolutely smoked in this one. I put Grant Dawson in last week when I was going through the card, and I was like, I think this may be the sleeper, where at the end of the fight, we're all going, why didn't we lay the farm on Grant Dawson? How is Joe Solecki going to beat him? So to me, it's Grant Dawson. I will tell you, Grant Dawson minus 120 to win by decision. I think Solecki is good enough on the ground to avoid getting in the submission. I don't know if that's the way to go. I'll probably just keep it simple and pick Grant Dawson. What is your take on Dawson and Solecki?
This is the one I regret. We spoke earlier in the week about this, and I was like, I don't know. Then I look, same as you. I looked into it. I'm like, man, they really do have the same skill set. Joe Solecki doing a lot of coaching. Grant Dawson doing a lot of training. As soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, man, I missed the boat. And the line, like you said, it's just gone. Not really interested in it at this price tag. I do think this could be a 30-27 for Grant Dawson. So, not a big fan of the minus 3.5. Okay.
Okay.
But man, I could see this 30-27, 30-27, 30-27 at the end. How is Solecki going to win a round with the takedown volume and the control time? If Dawson takes him down and controls him on the ground for 4 minutes, and Solecki throws up 2 submission attempts, he's not winning that round. They're going to give it to Dawson. So, not a huge fan of taking those. I'm interested in it. We'll see how I'm doing fight night, but not pulling the trigger on that. I'm going to let it go. Good on you getting in early on it, because I love Dawson now in this spot.
That minus 3.5 is a really good one, because I mentioned taking, the minus 120 on decision. If you just take the minus 3.5, like you said, how is Solecki gonna win a
Yeah.
unanimous round? That would be really really hard. Once Dawson gets that body triangle around guys, they're stuck. They're done.
Hmm.
So that way, if you protect yourself, so it's probably -3.5 is probably better than saying decision, because if he wins by decision, you can still easily cash that -3.5. But if he happens to get the rear naked or something like that, um, yeah, then we could all be cashing on Dawson. So Jailton, Almeida, and Alexandr Romanov. I'll let you go first here on this one. You and him, you and Romanov have something in common these days.
Wait a minute. Hold on. So
What is
we
that?
do have something a little. We are both teachers of a school. Check that out. So Romanov has a wrestling academy. He calls it an MMA academy. It looks like a lot of sambo. Looks like a lot of wrestling. He's doing a lot of coaching. He's doing a lot of promotional stuff on his social media. He is fatter than ever.
He's massive, man,
He's-
and not in a good way.
That is not what he looks like, and that's not good. He showed up one time in shape. One time. We haven't heard anything from this guy. Like, why is he showing up now? I've been all over Jailton Almeida from the second that this was announced, just because I think that Romanov has quit in him. And like, okay, so Jailton loses to Curtis Blades. I loved Curtis Blades in that fight. Like, Curtis Blades is a wrestling veteran who's fought the best of the best. Romanov's fought garbage. And anytime he stepped up, he's lost badly. He got just worked by Alexander Volkov.
Mollywop.
The fact that we didn't get the line on Volkov in that fight was a steal. The second we saw Fat Romanov, that was a steal. He does a grappling match with Chris Daukaus, and somebody was saying before the amount of takedowns, but like Daukaus was able to get back up. Why is he going to be able to hold down Jailton? So I was telling Andy early in the week, it's Romanov's advertisement, and then you go to Jailton Almeida, and he's got like 245 on the bench press, and he's just racking it 10 times. I'm going with Jailton Almeida to get back on track. This is a get-right spot after losing to Curtis Blades. UFC wants to be done with Romanov. They want Almeida to get a win and get back into this top, contender status. It's very evident who they want to win in this one, so I'm going Almeida. I don't think this fight goes the distance. I think he gets Romanov out of there when he gasses after things don't go his way.
Under is a great way to play, because if Romanov's going to win, it's going to be in round one by our good friend Nathan just said by belly flop. Like if he just gets him belly flop and lands on top of him and smothers him, that could be the way. But then, like I said, his cardio just disappears. It's gone. And then Jailton takes over. Like you said, he's got some quit in him. So it is funny, man. Like look at Romanov and just how our attitude has changed. So he comes over and he fights Roque Martinez, gets him out of there. Rogério de Lima gets him out of there. Technical split decision against Montespino. Ground and pound Jared Vandera, and then finishes Chase Sherman. And then we were like, wow, this guy's amazing. Mm-hmm. He's like the next big thing. And then he loses to Tabura. I got to tell you, I didn't think that should have been to me, that was an easy draw. But he did lose, and then just absolutely boat raced by Volkov. Don't forget, I don't know what's going on with him outside the octagon. He had a very poignant moment in an interview. It was a long time ago, but he just talked about how he was just at his lowest point and life was terrible for him at that moment. Now we see him, with the school. So I don't know what his mindset is, but that Blagoy Ivanov fight was awful. It was not a good showing from him. I'm with you. It's Jailton Almeida. It's probably Jailton Almeida by finish, but if you're looking to play a total, this is the fight that I think the under is probably safest in. So. All right, Roman Kopylov and Cesar Almeida. I mentioned this as a guy that we're anointing way too fast. You'll just have to forgive me if I'm not that excited about a contender series guy who beat a guy who's supposedly a takedown and grappling expert, and it turns out he's not very good at grappling or takedowns. And then he beats Dylan Budka, and now all of a sudden he's the cream of the. He's the top ticket that everyone loves, and we're going to fade Kopylov because he lost to Fluffy Hernandez. Like, give me a break. First off, Fluffy Hernandez is a terrible matchup for everybody, but he was a nightmare for Kopylov. It was just, you couldn't have tailor-made a worse matchup for Kopylov. So the fact that these odds are nearing even and the fact that more people are on Cesar Almeida is really, really mind-blowing to me. This is a guy that came from kickboxing. And I got to be honest, I don't know how good his striking really, truly is. Dylan Budka's awful. And Lucas Fernando, it turns out, is worse.
Awful.
So, yeah, they were really, really bad. And, you know, you get Kopylov, who it was after the Duryev fight that he really kind of turned around how he approaches fights. And this is a guy, again, that I love seeing guys that do what they're supposed to do. Supposed to finish DeChiro, did. Supposed to finish Soriano, did. Supposed to finish Ribeiro, did. Supposed to finish Josh Fremd, he did. And then the Hernandez, I bet a lot on that fight, and it wasn't enough.
Looking back,
that was just tailor-made for tailor-made.
We love that fight. Love that fight for Hernandez.
So, yeah, this is an easy pick for me on Kopylov, and I know you're kind of on the same page, aren't you?
Yeah, I bet it. I bet it. I watched that line creep down all week and all this Almeida money coming in, and I grabbed it at even money. This guy is such a fraud. He's such a fraud. He gives me Despain vibes.
Oh, wow.
Great stand-up. He's big, he's a monster. His stand-up is not that good. It's just not. And if you know what you're looking for and you don't listen to the hype and you watch it, defensively he's a liability, which I always love to bet against. If you're a defensive liability in the striking, I am all over betting against you because with these small gloves on, especially these new UFC gloves that are apparently a little bit harder and going to cause some more cuts, you better be defensively responsible. Roman Kopylov has made a conscious effort to get better at wrestling. And I think the fruits of his labor are going to come in this fight. Like, he doesn't want to be offensive. He was working on it defensively. But now all of a sudden, he's faced with Cesar Almeida and light bulb. Wait a minute. I know how to wrestle. I went to Dagestan to learn how to wrestle, which he did.
Yep.
And I don't think that Kopylov can't hang on the feet with this guy either. What does Almeida look like when he's pushed? He hasn't been pushed yet.
We haven't really seen it.
We have no idea, right?
Lucas Fernando isn't pushing him the way Kopylov is, and Dylan Budka certainly isn't. I'm sorry to Lucas Fernando and Dylan Budka if you're watching this. This is just a complete assassination on those two guys. But I just I can't get over
it was
that we're
too
giving
big
Cesar
of a step up. It's just they were handed to him. It's another contender series guy they want to build. I went in on Kopylov early. I bet Kopylov money line. I would not be shocked if Kopylov gets this guy out of there. I really don't. But I am totally content with that number on Kopylov. As opposed to paying 165 at open to get even money, I'll take it. I will take it.
I will also say that you and I believe, are 5-0.
Yes, we are.
In Kopylov's last, we've correctly predicted all of Kopylov's last 5 fights. So I like that we can predict when he can win and lose. So take that for what it's worth. Randy Brown, Zaleski. Here we go again with the Randy Brown game. I'll go first on this one. I don't trust Randy Brown. This is always a guy that just seems to come up a little bit underwhelming, and maybe it's because he looks like he was sculpted to be a UFC fighter, and then he fights, and you're like, why aren't you better? Mm-hmm. Why? Why do you have legs that are a mile long and these punches that are a mile long, and you don't throw enough of them, and they just don't quite have the power behind it? Why are you going to decision against Wellington Turman? Why did you almost lose to 78-year-old Francisco Trinaldo? And then he goes up against Madeleine and gets smoked. It goes down as a submission, but make no mistake, he got knocked out. Madeleine grabbed his neck. So, congratulations. He does pretty good against old guys. I'll give him that. But he knocks out Muslim Solecki. I think I saw Solecki just got another fight. Good Lord. We get to fade Solecki again. I'll take it. Here's what I'm expecting from Randy Brown. another case of why isn't he throwing more punches? Boy, that jab is really working. I wish he would throw more. Great kick to the middle. That pushed Zaleski back, but Zaleski keeps pushing forward, makes it a scrap. Can't quite get the big time damage on Randy Brown. Then Randy Brown slows down in round 3. Zaleski has the crowd behind him, and then the announcer comes out and at decision and says, "Judge 1 scores it." We have a split decision where I have no idea. Here's what I do love. I love the price on this fight to go over 2.5 rounds. I don't see a finish in this one. I don't. Zaleski, man, this guy's Brady Brown's not knocking him out. And you look at some of his losses. You got to go back to 2019 when he got knocked out by Li Jilang, and then even then you got to go back a long time to 2013 before this guy has gotten finished. His fight against Renat was amazing. That was just a lot of fun. But again, he couldn't finish Renat there at the very end. But at the same time, he didn't get finished. I think this is a clear over for me. I think it's an exciting fight, and I think the value is on the dog because Zaleski is the kind of guy that the crowd will rally behind just with his style, his forward pressure, just that he makes it a lot more exciting than Randy Brown does. So if I took the over, I'd be sweating it if I see Randy Brown start to get tired because I do believe Zaleski is going to have more energy than him in round 3. But I like it to go the distance, and I would be terrified if I had a ticket on Randy Brown. What do you think?
I agree with all things that you said about this fight. Oh. I was ready for this fight to be a total pass for me. And your argument for the over is quite good and makes quite amount of sense. People are saying, Zaleski gets wobbled. But, do you trust Randy Brown to follow up? How many times does he do that? No, that's the
story of his
he wobbles a guy
against Wellington Turman. I will repeat that.
And had him hurt. Every fight he has somebody hurt. And he never goes in for the kill unless they just give it to him. So, yeah, over. Over, and you wonder who won at the end. That's going to be the question mark. I would not be taking the plus 3.5. I just don't think there's value in it. We were talking about a fight to go to decisions, so you got to bring up the plus 3.5. I would just rather just take the over and not be on a side here. Take the judges out of it.
I'm with you. Nico Price and Alex Morano. You have a guy who doesn't have a chin versus a guy who looks like he cannot test the chin. I'll let you go first. Nico Price, Alex Morano. The matchmakers kind of had to laugh when they made this match. You got to be on. They probably had a good chuckle. And they're like, "Are we really going to do Nico Price, Alex Morano?"
Yes, we are.
All right, let's do it. What do you like in this one?
I'm upset. I think everybody learned their lesson with laying chalk on Alex Morano in his last fight. Boy, was he a popular pick against Court McGee, and then who was not sweating that? We're sweating it. You're sweating it. You just
had him in a parlay. Yep. Yeah, we absolutely had him in a parlay. And
so now everybody knows it. Everybody knows it, but they're still betting him. They just can't help themselves because Nico Price's chin is washed. Look, if Alex Morano knocks out Nico Price and his chin is washed, props to him, but the guy's got pillow fists. He's not finishing anybody. He refuses to use his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu, flat out does not listen to his corner, does not change his game plan mid-fight if something is not working, sticks to the same thing. He'll throw 6 spinning back fists in one fight. They'll never land. If they do land once, it's not enough to hurt anybody because he's got pillow fists. So, is Nico Price washed? He could be. But I don't think Alex Morano is a very good fighter. I think he's one of the more overrated fighters on the roster. And Nico, as bad as he is, he still has that death touch in his hands. And if he catches Alex, he's going to put him out just like he did the last time. Period. There's no debate about that. This fight, not to go the distance, or the under 2.5. This is one of the first bets I made all week. Love it. I think there's finishing ability on both sides because of the lack of skill or lack of IQ or lack of chin of both fighters. So I think we always get one of these situations where you're like, they both have, just take the under. Why be on a side?
That's probably right.
So that's where I'm at on this. I like Nico to win. I wouldn't hate anybody taking the plus money on Price here. I think it could be priced by knockout in the first, to be honest with you.
I mean, watching Morano die against Court McGee was just unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So everyone had Morono by finish, and in the second round, you were like, I just hope he wins. He ain't gonna finish Court McGee. We already know that. So
guilty as charged in that one. Yeah.
All right, Kevin Holland, Michael Olakasechek. We've got Kevin Holland going against another guy who I will say we have been absolutely dead on with this guy. So we hit him against Michel Pereira. I don't know if we were on. I don't know if we bet.
We
were
on
fight.
him. We were on him live. What, Pereira?
Oh, the live. We did get him live when
him against Chitty was a live bet spot. We were watching the Chitty cardio. And the second we saw Chitty cardio, Cody Brundage, we were on him.
Kyle Barallo, we were on. Sam Alvey, we were on. Dustin Jacoby, we were on. So we've had good success with Olakasechek. Kevin Holland, I can't figure out, but I know you have an opinion on this one. What do you like?
Kevin Holland by finish. Period. I know. It stinks. I don't like it.
Terrifies me.
It tastes horrible already. But I can't with Olakasechuk. This is not a bet on Kevin Holland. This is a bet against Olakasechuk. I like him as a fighter. I think he's exciting. I think he has a ton of potential, but the guy is predictable. That is why we've had such a good read on him. We've had such a good read on Kopylov. These guys are predictable. And in any kind of sports betting, when you have an edge, that's your edge in MMA. This is what you got to go with when you know what you're going to get. Olakasechuk's going to come forward. Problem I have with him is he's got a very high guard, and he accepts punches instead of parrying them. And against Kevin Holland, with Kevin Holland's giant reach that he's going to have in this fight, you cannot sit there and put your hands up and block that straight right hand down the pipe from Kevin Holland. I think this is Kevin Holland by submission. I think he hurts him. Olakasechuk bends over. Holland's going to lock up a Darce choke and choke this man unconscious. We've seen that it's his weakness. I don't like betting on Kevin Holland because he's a clown, but this just really seems like a chance for the UFC to give him someone they know he can get a highlight reel finish on in a pay-per-view and build that stock back up so they can put him on another pay-per-view. Either way, Kevin Holland's a name. He is. He draws eyes. So I like Holland by finish. Don't bother with the sub or TKO.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that fight against Madalena loses a split decision. I thought he screwed around a little bit too much. And then the Michael Page. Something didn't seem right about Holland. I don't know if it was bad weight cut.
He did the UFC a favor in that fight.
Think so?
Taking that fight. I think so.
Okay.
We need an opponent for MVP. Who are we going to give him?
Yeah,
Kev, you want to fight? Sure.
He's a company man.
Yep.
I mean, listen, he's a company man. Takes the Chimaev fight, then does what he does against Stephen Thompson. That was just a glorified sparring match. But you're right. Gets the finishes against Pons and Michael Chiesa. So you're probably right. I mean, you're right. Olakasechuk, man, it just does not have a high ceiling. That's always been my thing with him. Does not have a high ceiling. Once you get him into trouble, he just doesn't have the tools to get out. Like, okay, if he gets rocked, can he implement the takedown and get himself some time? No. If he gets in a submission, does he have great scrambling, grappling? No. So, it's just one of those things where if Olakasechuk can wobble you early, he can do damage. Listen, he's a good front runner, but once he faces that adversity, he just doesn't have the tools. I mean, he's not a quitter. I just don't think he has the tools to get out of trouble. And manage it. So, you're right.
Knocking out Kevin Holland. He's not.
No.
Kevin Holland's got too good of a chin, and that means that this fight is either going to be. It's going to start round 2, and at that point, Holland has a massive cardio advantage. Olakasechuk will fade. I like it by finish.
Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa. I'll let you go first on this one. What do you think?
Oh, I wanted to give this one to you.
Oh, I'll go first.
I love hearing Andy talking about Paulo Costa. So.
I don't really take him serious. He looked so much better against Whitaker than I expected him to, but he lost. He couldn't finish Luke Rockhold, and never forget that late in the fight he was on the bottom with Luke Rockhold rubbing blood into his face. That was a fight he won. Loses against Vettori, loses against Adesanya. You got to go back to 2019 before you find, Yo Ramir, and win against Yoel Romero, and I'm just tired of hearing about how good his punches are. Like how he's got good strength. Where? Why? Because he knocked out Uriah Hall in 2018. Because he knocked out Johnny Hendricks in 2017. I don't know if you've noticed, Jim. Quite a lot has happened since 2017 and 2018. So I don't buy this. I don't buy this. Paulo Costa is a great striker and's got all this strength. So he did manage his cardio much better against Whitaker. He was a lot more crisp. He looked like he took it serious, which was one of the big concerns I have. I had bet against him, with Whitaker, and while it wasn't totally a sweat, but it certainly wasn't the most dominant.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get dominated with it. Here was my concern with Sean Strickland is did he peak? Is Israel out of sight? How do you get much better than that? Loses against Duplessis in the split decision. I don't know if that was his best. It wasn't his best performance because beating Adesanya is always going to be his best performance, but it just didn't quite. I don't know. It just didn't have that Sean Strickland like stamp on it. And I worry that this guy has been through a lot. Like, never forget this guy was in a serious motorcycle accident. There's damage to his body, not from being inside the octagon. So, my guess is it turns into a classic Sean Strickland fight where it's jab, 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 jab. Costa throws some big heavy shots and does not get Strickland out of there, and Strickland kind of just beats him up and points him out. Initially I said this fight stinks and I would throw money on Costa, and then I realized this was a 5-round fight, and there's no world I see Costa winning 3 rounds against Sean Strickland. It's Costa by knockout, or it's Sean Strickland the first round's close and then Strickland waltzes to a boxing match, makes it a boxing sparring match where he pieces up Costa and Costa just tires out. I would be interested in Strickland by finish, maybe in rounds like 3, 4, 5, or maybe just pick 2 of them, maybe 4, maybe just 5, because I think Costa's going to be dead by then. So the 5 round is what makes this. I don't know who Costa's managers are, but I don't know how they got talked into 5 rounds against Sean Strickland. But the worry for Strickland is, did he peak? Is he on the downside? Like he said, I fight to make money. And so make no mistake, when he won that belt, listen, it was nice to reach the mountaintop, but the payday was the big thing for him. And credit to him, he's open about it. So I'm just not sure. I'm not sure where Sean Strickland is in his career right now. But 5 rounds, it's absolutely Strickland all day over Costa.
So could I interest you in Sean Strickland plus 165 by finish?
Yeah, you absolutely could. I mean, Sean Strickland says that he doesn't hit that hard, but who did he knock out? Abus, who got exhausted. And now Abus gets exhausted at the end of round 1. I'm giving Costa a little bit of credit, saying, yeah, it might take till round 3 before he really gets tired. But yeah, a Sean Strickland, or maybe just a fight not to go the distance, because if Costa does, chin check him, and if I'm right that Strickland's maybe on the downside of his career, and maybe some of that damage starts to catch up to him. But I probably would just keep it simple and bet on Strickland.
It's interesting you say the fight to not go the distance, because it being minus 150, I think, tells you a story.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was minus 150. So, the books are telling you something.
I would have this the other way. You would think the way everyone talks about Strickland, it would be minus 150, fight goes the distance. But for them to refuse to give us plus money on fight not to go the distance and send it the other way, I think that says a lot about it. Look, the thing with Paulo's muscles is they're glory muscles. They just are. All right? And nobody ever wants to say it. It's fool's gold. We've seen this over and over in mixed martial arts, in boxing, in any combat sport, anything that requires management and economy of movement. Those muscles take oxygen, and they're not a lot of return on the other end. Like you said, where's his power? I know guys that look a hell of a lot worse than Paulo Costa and are just knockout machines.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to do with your biceps. All right. It's different muscle groups. It's, again, economy of movement, throwing correct technique-wise. He's a looping hook striker that throws a wheel kick once in a while. That's what he is. He's got a good round kick high. Strickland always has a high guard. I don't see him getting caught with that. And the thing about Sean is Sean makes every fight a Sean fight, win, lose, or draw. The only person that's ever been able to not have a Sean fight is Alex Pereira. Now, if Alex doesn't land that hook, guess what that fight would turn into? A Sean Strickland fight.
It was a hell of a hook, though.
Yeah, a hell of a hook. It was beautiful. But he zaps the energy of his opponents because him being constantly in front of you, that just drains your battery. It drains your battery. It's so much work mentally to keep up with Sean Strickland's volume, not even physically, mentally. And I most certainly could see Sean breaking him late. Now, Costa's a tough guy. He is. But cardio makes mice out of all men. Your cardio goes, you will become a quitter, period. And there's no shame in that. There's not. Ask Terrence McKinney. No shame.
True.
So I like Strickland. I would be tempted at the plus money. I already played Strickland money line in a parlay. And I haven't played the finish yet, but I agree with you on that. I think it's in the cards.
Last fight. And once again, guys, please leave us a comment and hit the like button. Just a little token of appreciation for the free content that we give you guys. All plays, official plays, can be found at wagertalk.com. Just go to Andy Lang's profile page and get all plays in all sports. Having a really nice 2024, piggybacking off of a really good 2023. So looking forward to continue all of the momentum coming into this fight night. Really bettable card. We're going to finish with Makhachev and Poirier. Listen, either everyone's going to make a lot of money on Makhachev by submission, or the books are going to laugh their way to the bank when Makhachev wins by like some weird ground and pound or decision, or Poirier catches the upset. It just feels like it's a little too easy to say Makhachev by submission. It could happen, but it seems like when everybody and their mother is on the same prop in UFC, there's something bound to go wrong. The line is completely steamed. I got on this one last week, put it in a parlay. I'm not sure there's much you can do with it because you need like either one, like you would need like a parlay piece that's less than minus 200 that goes with Makhachev. That's kind of where you are if you're just taking the money line at this point. So I get that he's the rightful favorite. I think he rolls. I'm very nervous about doing. Like I'm nervous about doing inside the distance until I watched Dustin Poirier call him a motherfucker. And then I was like, oh, there's a fire in the eyes. And even Makhachev, I just they put out a video with a closed caption, and you hear Makhachev say, "In my country, you don't say that." And Poirier calls him again. And I was like, yeah, I don't think Makhachev's the kind of guy to casually forget that. So I'm not going to take submission. I think it's Makhachev inside the distance. I think Poirier is kind of last gasp here at being in these elite fights. I don't know why you would take this fight unless it was just like nice payday, like real nice payday. Because to me, this seems like a nightmare matchup for him. I don't see him outstriking Makhachev, because what I love about guys like Makhachev and Khabib's camp is they don't screw around. Like they have a game plan, they go into it, and they know what their advantage is, and they go for it. You know, these like this is what we love about Kyle Barallo and Fighting Nerds. They have a game plan, and you can trust their gameplay. Who would you say? Oh, Morano, who just refuses to listen.
Refuses to listen. Saif Sayud screams at him every fight, and he does nothing what he's told to do. None. Zero.
And that's how you end up almost losing to Court McGee in Court McGee's last fight. So I love betting on guys where I know what to get. And listen, Poirier, the win against Saint Denis, while it was good, it was just a little bit too big of a step up for Saint Denis. It was good for him, and and Saint Denis just got tired and made a really dumb move. Makhachev ain't getting tired, and Makhachev ain't making a dumb move. So for me, it's Makhachev. I'm not gonna do just submission. I will take inside the distance, use it as a parlay piece.
Good man.
What say you?
I'm so glad you said that. So glad you said that. Everybody's on submission.
Yeah.
I never look. Here's the bottom line. I don't care how good a bet is. I don't want to be with everybody else.
Yeah, it's
I
a
just
good way to
don't.
lose.
I just don't. Like it's just in my experience and the track record is like that obvious under every card. There's always that one fight that's the most obvious fight doesn't go the distance. Next thing you know, it's the third round and you're just shaking your head like because everybody's on it. It's obvious. Take this by finish. Look, it's Makhachev. Poirier is his last fight. He hasn't come out and said it. This is the last thing for him to do in MMA before he rides off into the sunset. I think
You think so,
old.
huh?
I think he looks old. I think he looks tired. The switch in Makhachev's eyes when he called him a motherfucker.
If
That
you guys
is
have,
one of those moments.
yeah, if you guys haven't seen that, it was at press day. It was it's not face offs and it wasn't weigh in. It was the press day. Yeah, go look at it. That was a moment. Like a real moment.
It was. And you saw Dustin. I don't want to say, look, Dustin Poirier kicked the hell out of me. I don't want to trash talk him. I love him, but you saw when Makhachev got serious, Poirier didn't have that same look in his eyes.
No, you're right.
I think this is the end of Dustin. I think he's done. This is one last shot at the title. Like you said, they wanted Benoit Saint Denis here. I think that if Benoit Saint Denis does not have that staph infection, and he's flat out said he ran out of gas.
Yeah.
That's how you know he wasn't 100%. When do we ever see Benoit Saint Denis run out of gas and heart? He was sick as a dog.
I told you we could have just checked Twitter. Everyone
right?
knows about the staph infection.
Exactly.
We knew about that.
So look, it's the thing with Makhachev is he's going to stick to the game plan. He's going to take Poirier's back. He's going to get the submission. I agree with you as far as this fight ends. Look, this fight not to start round 3, not to start round 4, not to start round 5, no distance, are awesome parlay pieces. Awesome parlay pieces. I might have a little something together with the main event come fight time with some live lines on those unders because either Poirier knocks him out early, and I mean like 2 minutes early, or it's going to be Makhachev by submission in the second when Poirier's tired. Because he will get tired underneath Makhachev. This is way different than Saint Denis.
Yeah, I mean, you go back and you look at this run for Makhachev, and it's like finishes Dober, Moises, Hooker, Bobby Green, Charles Oliveira. The one he didn't was against Volk,
which was the fight of the century.
Pete Volk. yeah. So, it's Makhachev there inside the distance. All right, Lima and Raposo. We're not betting that fight ever so slightly into Raposo. Perez and Edwards, we love Edwards plus 3.5. Like the value on the dog there. Mickey Gall and Bassil Hafez, probably fight not to go the distance in that one. Phil Rowe, Jake Matthews. Values on Phil Rowe, and we love the plus 3.5 on Phil Rowe. Grant Dawson and Solecki. Value's gone, but it's Dawson all day. Jailton, Almeida, and Romanov. We like Almeida probably inside the distance once Romanov gets tired. Kopylov and Cesar Almeida. We're predicting fraud check in Almeida, and Kopylov gets that one. Randy Brown and Zaleski, we like the over in that fight. Nico Price and Alex Rano, we like the under in that one. Maybe a little sprinkle on Nico Price. Kevin Holland and Olukasejchek. Jim really likes Kevin Holland by finish. Sean Strickland and Costa, we like Sean Strickland possibly by finish late when Paulo Costa gets tired. And then Makhachev by MF or theory. Inside the distance, accidentally insulting somebody when you weren't totally aware that that's a real insult in that person's country.
As soon as you hear that, you don't say this. It's
it was so funny, man. Makhachev was just like there. They were kind of doing their little song and dance. I think what Dustin said is like, "I'm gonna slap sleep you." Makhachev's like, I will not be slapped. And like, okay. He's like, and remember, he's like, we do not
exactly
in my country. It was like, oops.
Whoa.
I wonder what Poirier's team said when he got backstage. It was like,
might want to cut the trash talk down a little bit there, Dustin.
I wonder Poirier was like, was anybody going to tell me that this was a massive insult in this man's country? Was anybody going to let me know not to? Wouldn't it be great if Makhachev like gets back to his hotel room? There's like a big fruit basket outside his door.
Hot sauce. Poirier's gonna stand in his hot sauce.
Yep. Enjoy this compliments of me. Enjoy your evening.
Well, it'll make it a short night for Dustin. I don't think he'll beat him too bad. He'll just choke him out. We'll see.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that was a real funny moment there. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining us. All official plays that we bet with our own money. Our at wagerstalk.com. And, of course, we will be on the YouTube channel, Takedown Live. We'll be watching all the fights live and having a lot of fun, a lot of profits there as well. So join us there, YouTube channel, Takedown Live. Good luck on all your plays. Leave a comment, and we'll see everyone next week on the next UFC breakdown video.
Good luck, everybody.